Philosophy of Winning, 3rd edition, and Dave Wilson. We got a special guest.
Cheers, thanks, Rich.
So, what was your beginning in your successful journey?
When I left school, I was fortunate enough to get offered an apprenticeship footballer, it was at the time, with Everton, who at that time in the late 80s were league champions. I spent a couple of years as an apprentice, fortunate enough to get offered a professional contract with Everton, and then it come to a time where I got released. And so after getting released and spending a bit of time in non-league, I then went back to school. I went to Hewberg College and embarked on an access course. Now at that time, being what I class as a failed professional footballer because I didn't make the first team and that, I was out of school too long, and so I needed to take 2 years rather than 1.
2 years studying?
Yeah, because when I went back, you know, doing all the assignments and essays and that, my head just wasn't really in it. So I needed to take a year just to get myself around it. I done 2 years access course and then got into Liverpool John Moores University on a sports science course. And at that time, you know, Liverpool John Moores University is in the top 5 in the world for sports science, in particular sports science and football. So I embarked on a degree and went down that road. At the same time, the FA had a course called the Football Fitness Trainers, which was a vocational course which brought together people who were academically good but also the practical side, and wanted a high level instructor to then start working.
You must have been quite serious in what you went into, because a lot of people who go into uni for sports science, because I did a little go myself, don't really go down that path, do they, to go right to the top. Usually they just come out and end up working in Tesco's or whatever.
Absolutely. No,
so you must have been driven to...
Yeah, highly driven in that respect.
So your same football philosophy went into...
100%, you know, my inspiration, if you will, you know, we spoke about it earlier, was being a young kid, like most boys from the city, and going to the game. Although at that time it was terrace, so you could actually get in the game and get tickets and stand with your friends. And my hero at that time was Kenny Dalglish. So as I explained, you know, we'd be playing games such as 3 and in on the streets, and that'd be Dave Dalglish all the time. And so that sort of winning mentality and winning philosophy, you've seen it week in, week out in red shirts. You've seen it in my own.
But you also played with top players as well,
yeah,
didn't
absolutely, grassroots teams.
You were saying Ryan Giggs and that you played with?
Well, that was at my time against Everton. Played against Ryan Giggs in the FA Youth Cup and got best player on the pitch by the Everton coach at the time. And with that, I'm being associated, and obviously the topic's winning philosophy. So as a fan, you know, there's that winning belief that Liverpool fans tend to have. I was blessed, you know, continuing my journey on after I'd finished through my degree. I was lucky enough to get offered the opportunity to go and work in Qatar, and I'd done my PhD in football fitness in professional team out there called Al Ahly, and lucky in one way and unlucky in another way, because it was the team that Pep Guardiola played for in Qatar.
Was it?
And had it been 6 weeks earlier, Pep would have been one of my students.
Really?
But on the flip side of that, I was lucky that I worked with a guy called Oswaldo Oliveira, who won the World Club Championship with Corinthians. So when you're around winners, it rubs off on you. You know, and they have a mentality and a mindset, and it's a mentality and a mindset.
What did you learn from those winners you were working with? What's the big number one thing that stood out?
Total belief in themselves and what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, they've just got that, whether you can believe in law of attraction.
Did they have a really good plan though?
Absolutely.
Most.
Well, listen, the reason why they believe in what they do is because the preparation, the knowledge, the attention to detail.
Because that makes all the difference, doesn't it? The bigger the plan, the more confidence you're going to gain.
Absolutely, and when we're talking about modern day professional football, and we spoke about some of the good guys who worked with, and that you have what's called a multidisciplinary team. So we're sitting around here now, we have a head coach, we have a physio, we have a fitness coach, we have assistant managers, and everyone's contributing. I think you brought up the point when we were speaking before regarding New Zealand and how they...
The All Blacks.
The All Blacks and how they approach it, and they get a bit of accountability even further going into the players and that coming back in. So there's a real cohesive effort by players, coaching staff and everything. And there's a real nice saying that I picked up, because I look at all sports, and that's anything to make the boat go faster from the rowers. They'll do absolutely anything. So I'd say that attention to detail, but I'd also say another thing as well, and it's one of the things that I picked up and bent on in my philosophy is, people ask me, what's your underpinning philosophy? And it's to improve quality and the ability to reproduce that quality. So my teams are relentless, do fitness-wise and going through. And at the time when we won the league at West Brom, that was reflective of how the teams
like
played.
A magnet, you infuse your team or the team with
the quality.
What you've got.
So let me give you an example from a fitness point of view. So when I embarked on my journey as a fitness coach, I went all over to the States, the Colorado US Olympic Center, and studied there. I've read all the books there, and particularly with sprinting. And there's a book, by what's his name? It's Charlie Francis, I think it is. Ben Johnson's coach. Now I forget, Ben Johnson was
the drug problems. Yeah,
take that out. Yeah. Ben Johnson was a phenomenally
he was a quality
fast guy. Phenomenally fast guy, and to be fair, when you mix it there, is a lot of them guys are doing the same sort of thing.
They're all in the same boat.
Just ready to get caught or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's just take it out there. You're dealing with a phenomenal athlete and a guy who's training a phenomenal athlete. And in that book, there's a quote there, is that he practices quality and nothing else. And he could close his eyes and listen to Ben run down there, and he could hear if the foot pattern was getting slower, and he'd say, that's enough for the day. Now, when I started looking at the Australian Institute of Sport, was quite popular in 2000 for the Olympics, they'd done a similar thing with the swimming, where they would swim a single length, and then today's repetitions would be based on hitting that time within that length. So when I started talking and working with the Brazilian coaches and stuff, and you're speaking about these things...
Was this before you went to West Brom?
Yeah. So in this journey, it used to be around about 2002, 2003 at that time of my journey. And so I'm working with the Brazilian coaches, and this is a world-class coach. He's won the World Club Championship with Corinthians. He's worked with Luxembourgo, had Brazilian coach, Real Madrid coach. He's been around. And, you're chatting to him and you're working with him. And there was a time when it was really sloppy in training. And he's looked at his assistant coach and Caesar Halas, which is finishing on finished.
Finished the training session.
Finished. Yeah. And I spoke to him after, why did you finish it today? And I went, I don't practice rubbish, or it's in Spanish, like. He said, I don't practice that. He said, because it's bad habits that creep into the game. It also shows that the players.
So he'd rather stop the whole training session and say that was a disaster, and let's
plus it sends a psychological message to the players
that it's okay to do that kind of
that it's unacceptable. Yeah. That when we're on that training pitch, it's serious business. We train how we play. We're proper on it, and if you're tired, I'll pull you off if you're tired. But he would not accept
bad
sloppiness and bad habits. And so when you started looking at, well, there's something similar going on here by these world-class successful people. What are they doing? What's the secret ingredient here? And it's and that's why I sort of bent my philosophy to improve quality and the ability to reproduce that quality. Because that's what a football game is. It's Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. And you're expected, Mo Salah turns up and plays a great game. Everyone expects him to score the next Tuesday, the next Saturday. And if he doesn't, he's not playing as well. Or Firmino's not playing as well, he's missed a few. The pressure on that could be soccer, it could be basketball, it could be any sport you think that demands to perform up there. And when you start looking at the fitness side of things, I could get you to your highest fitness levels, Rich. So your VO2 max could be up there, your strength could be up there, your power could be up there, but your ability to express that strength could be significantly reduced if, for example, with the old school, sorry, let me finish, if you've been on if you always have battles with, if you've been on drinking loads of alcohol the night before, if you've not slept, if you've not eaten right, if you've got a cold or flu, your ability to express that fitness and top level performance diminishes percentage when you're not taking care of yourself, which means you're not only suboptimally performing, okay, but you're more likely to get injured as well. So when you're dealing with these minute details, the sleep's important, the food's important, the travel's important, preparation's important, even the mental side of the game now. That's you'll come into professional clubs now where they're checking your wellness scores and your mental and your cognitive side of things.
Is this something you put around the whole table? You brought this whole
philosophy
out?
What you do is you go to these conferences, you work with certain people, and you take the best off everything and glue it into your own experience, and that's your brand, that's your package and what you bring. So having come back from Qatar, working with Oswaldo and working with the Brazilians, I was in a situation in the changing room whereby we were planning the training, and the training was getting planned after the assistant manager's done the horses for the day. You know, and he's gone to bookies and thinking, this can't be right. The Brazilians are planning a whole week before, and all the training, so much due to the warm-up, is designed round. And let me give you an example, is when I first went in, I said, you're playing Watford, who were top of the table at that time in 2007. They were managed by Eddie Boothroyd. I said, and they're proper in your face, they're not very technical, but they're very hustle you in that type of thing. I said, so the warm-up on the Friday has got to be checked and coming off mannequins to find clever space in that environment and keep the ball and wear them out. A little bit like a boxer going against somebody who's just throwing a punches relentless, is to wear him out, let him punch himself out, boxing,
and picking him off.
And pick him off, if you will. So that was the warm-up, and so the next day, you know, so it's all down to this, but these were the details the Brazilians would be bringing in, and this is what I brought in to West Brom at the time. And they would, we went and scored a 26-pass goal, and beat Watford.
Where's this at West Brom?
At Watford, away, and we won 3-1.
When you was at West Brom?
When I was at West Brom.
So just tell us how you got into West Brom, because you've gone from like...
Yeah, so what happened is I've gone from Qatar, okay, and come back at the time. I had my youngest son, I'd just finished my PhD. I felt it was a good time to come back. You know, I've been in Qatar since 2003.
So was this your first British club you come into?
Yeah, so at the time...
Apart from being at
there was Richard Hawkins, who we knew from the English FA, and it's like networking and anything at the time. My network was still strong with the English FA, because I still kept going back as an associate lecturer for A licence, B licences, goalie coach courses, the fitness trainers, and still lectured, still kept active. And he was leaving West Brom to go with Brian Robson, I think, to Sheffield United at the time. He's now gone to Manchester United and head of sports science over at Manchester United. And Rich said, listen, you know, I'm leaving. I'd like it to go into good hands, and hand it over to me. And I went in just round about September time, just a bit further on than where we are now, 10 years ago, in a sense of, I think the club were about 8th when I went in. The year before, the club had just lost in the playoffs to Derby, and so obviously there's a little bit of, they nearly went to Premier League and didn't, and actually they're known as Boing Boing West Brom, because they go up and they go down, and that Boing Boing that's where they get the nickname from. And so I went in and they were 8th, and so having had a look at it, you could see, and we were speaking before about how sometimes your strengths of trying to impart your knowledge as subject matter expert for the benefit of the team, and that rather than my personal career and survival and that type of thing. Because I look back on my CV now, I'm extremely proud that we won the league there, that title. However, there's a culture within fitness coaches and sports science to be very much yes men. Maybe because they don't have the football background, you know, and that's the way the majority don't. Picking up from what you've sort of said as well, is that from my experience of watching Liverpool win, being a winner as a kid, we won everything. We won the Sefton Schoolboys. I played for Sefton Schoolboys. We won at Old Trafford as well, the North West Granada Cup. We won everything as kids. We won leagues, and it's in you. I said to you, tongue in cheek, it's in your Scouse DNA to be a winner. And I think a lot of people, I'd say 98% of the people, 99%, they don't get that mentality. Because they're happy to play, and if we get on with it, they don't get, and that was the difference with Oswaldo. He classes second as a failure. You know, he's in it to win it. You know, and they've just got that.
And also, you mentioned about this
no
compromise, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that type of thing. So
for your whole career.
Yeah, and so when you're looking at, when you're coming through and you're imparting your advice on there, you're speaking to certain managers, and I think I look back on the most confident and successful managers embraced it and empowered you. The mediocre managers, respectfully, when you're seeing someone who's won a World Club Championship and someone who's working in the Championship and someone who's not won anything and that type of thing, I think they feel a little bit nervous by what you're coming through with. And if I look back at my career, and I kind of stayed away from the coaching side of things, because I looked at Colin Harvey was Howard Kendall's number 2. I'd not played first team football, which is why I classed myself as a failed professional footballer. And I always knew if they got back in that environment, it'd be people who you played for to that degree. Having come through with managers like Jose Mourinho and players like managers like Julio and stuff like that, or some of Arsene Wenger, these are all high successful managers that never played. So I wish I would have done, if I could actually change one thing, it would have to go back and actually do me badges and go along that route, because there was a guy, Juan Osorio. Now Juan come over, and where Juan come over and done his degree, a guy from Colombia. And good luck to Juan, he's ended up getting in with Manchester City, getting in with New York. He was actually the manager of Mexico in the last World Cup.
Yeah, he's the guy who's climbed the fence at Melbourne. And he ended up like living in the
well, I stayed with Juan. I stayed with Juan in '99 when I went over to the States. And me and one of my friends at university, my mum actually played for his A licence because he didn't, and he gave me the dollars in the States.
He was quite driven, wasn't he?
So he's extremely driven. Yeah. And so
was he at uni with you?
He was my pal.
Was he?
Yeah.
Small world.
Small world. But he's done incredibly well and incredibly successful. And there's talk about his drills and stuff, and his drills would have transferred well through to match play. And it's similar in a way that the Leeds manager at the minute, which is Bielsa, which is like Guardiola and Pochettino, will copy off him. Yeah. One's of the similar line, whereas like the fitness drills and the running is all tactically based and positional based and relates to what you actually do.
So is it actually true that he learns all his skills from watching Liverpool through the fence? Or was that just...
Listen, not all of them, because at the time I think Julio was the manager, and I know Gerrard would have done a lot of very good drills and would have taken from, and Mom actually noted the training down, and the people across the road went over and went, I see you here every day, what's happening? And the guy said, I study at the local university from Colombia, and he actually rented the room out to him so he could do it from the room. But one actually played with, I don't know if you remember a player for Colombia called Valderrama, the big Colombian player with the big afro, with the blonde afro, quite a big personality at the time. One played in the same youth team as him, and one was a very talented player himself. One could play.
What position was he?
One was a winger. He was very, very technical and winger with a ball, chew it with his feet. And I remember we played a game at Iron Marsh, and I was probably a little bit more English-based player to get it, pass it, move it, and he's trying to get the ball and take the world on and stuff like that. And
so he's like a Maradona?
Yeah, that type of thing. Although he was more like an Argos version of Steve McManaman, if you will. That type of player, trying to take everyone on and run through everyone and show skills and fancy flicks rather than effective football, what I was more used to watching and seeing. And my team had beaten his team, and his head fell off. He couldn't. That's not the way you play football. There was what do you mean, man? We've got 6 passes and we scored, put the ball in the net. That's the game. But one thing I enjoyed in bringing it, sound like Billy Connolly, I don't know whether everything coming back in, is I enjoyed about Qatar is it was a real fast track in football philosophies and cultures. You had everything from Spanish, Croatian, French, Germans out there, and Brazilians, obviously, that we've spoken about, and all these different mindsets have all got different opinions on football. And I believe you can take something from everybody. There's a lot of, the French and the Dutch are probably the most single-minded. Like if you speak, and Dutch, listen, I've worked with Dutch coaches, and one of the Dutch coaches who worked with me last China team played for a guy called Hank Doet, played with Ruud Gullit and Johan Cruyff, who, again, 2 not bad players, very great players, and he played centre-half with them guys. And so when you're working with them, and Hank was quite cool actually, but you'd speak about, I'm a big fan of Dutch football, and you'd say the positives and the negatives, is that Dutch football have a lot of very good passing drills and a lot of good technical players.
Because in the 80s they were a real passing team, weren't they?
But that gets back to what we explained before, is that everybody's got an opinion, and it implodes a little bit with the Dutch because they all think they know it all, and
So the Dutch are not really good listeners.
So exactly, their listening skills aren't down. So if you speak to a Dutch coach out there, that's rubbish, we don't do this in Holland, we do this, there's only the Holland way, and that's all they know, and that's how they bang the drum on. The French it's all about Clairefontaine, it's all about France, and the worst thing that's happened is France winning the World Cup, that everyone went all French, and that's the way you do it, that's the way you do it. Not to say that, really, if you're going to look at it, a lot of the French-based players, they've taken from Africa and given them a French passport, and bent the way
from
through.
The Ghanas and stuff like that.
From French-speaking countries and that type of thing, so they've kind of played the game, France. In a little bit, they've brought the players in to a large extent and diluted what you maybe class as a traditional French team, who were actually natively born in France and brought up through. So when you start, and I think even Zidane was one as well, I think he was Algeria or something like that. These are the type of things that they go through, and people bend and play the rules a little bit. But when you start looking at these different philosophies and stuff, there's something to be taken from everyone, because everybody, football's very cyclical. Right now you're seeing a demise of Manchester United and an uprise of Liverpool. You know, 20 years ago it was on the back end of 20 years of Liverpool success, United were down, and then we had 20 years of United success, and it's cyclical and it'll go round based on philosophy, players, and you know, at that time United hit it well with the inception of the internet and social media, and the big boom, and you know, to expose and market the club, and they really capitalised on that. Now Liverpool's turn is on the ascendancy, is to really maximise and optimise, you know, their type of thing with it. And so taking that in mind and being objective, you know, Brazil football's not really down, but Brazil's won 5 World Cups. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of things, and a lot of winners in Brazil. And getting back to, you know, the Brazilian mindset is that they play well for their club, so they can wear that yellow jersey and play for Brazil. You know, they see that as the pinnacle.
Which that means a lot to them.
That's everything to them.
Yeah.
To play for Brazil means more than playing for Santos, Corinthians and Flamengo, as an example. Whereas if you ask things, would you sooner play for Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, or would you sooner play for England? I think the majority would say, it's Liverpool all day, it's Manchester, it's Chelsea all day. And that's having worked with England sides, you know, 17
You were saying before about the home talents is like decreasing, still, you said it's still a pool of success here, isn't it, in the city?
Listen, I'm fiercely proud of Liverpool and what Liverpool achieves. You know, a tongue-in-cheek joke, the last 15 years I've spent working abroad and class myself as an international scouser because I'm fiercely proud of where I come from. Having worked with different England coaches, setups and stuff, there's a nice picture we were speaking about before. I was shown by Kenny Swain, and Kenny Swain showed me a picture of Kenny, Dennis Mortimer and Terry McDermott. All 3 guys all play for Kirby Schoolboys under 16s, all won European Cup medals. You know, and I said, I'll challenge anyone in any other city, from Milan to Munich to, you know, Turin to Barcelona to Madrid, to say, where are you getting an under 16 side that's produced 3 European, you know.
Well, what we seem to have counted up before was probably about 11 people, wasn't it?
Maybe even more. There's probably more there. And so when you look at that, sort of the DNA of a Scouse player has everything. They can play football, they've got tenacity, they've got athleticism. You know, we spoke, you know, currently Trent's the one before Trent's a similar type of model as what Stevie was before. You know, before Stevie, you know, you've had them all coming through. Steve McManaman was a little bit before him, you know, and all won European Cups. Rooney, slightly after, again, won a European Cup. And if you look at the traits of your Rooneys, your Gerrards, they're winners. You can see the winners. And when it comes to that difference, it's that extra 10%. That makes difference, you know, with getting back and chasing and hustling, and character. And character's a great word. So what is character? You know, most other football clubs around the world, losing 3-0 at the Nou Camp, believe the game's done. Believe the game's done. You know, Mo Salah never give up with the t-shirt. The fans and the belief of the thing, you know, has got that. That's the difference that makes remarkable things happen. And I was blessed whereby I was in Istanbul as well. You know, and 3-0, half time, you know, everyone's what's happening here. You know, this is a car crash, and you're sitting there thinking, we don't get embarrassed here and get beat 7-0. And next minute someone sings, we're going to win 4-3. You know, in that type of song, and You Never Walk Alone kicks in. And then you start getting goosebumps now about it. And then you
have you heard the Vince Lombardi quote?
No.
He said, we never lost a game.
Yeah.
We only ran out of time.
Great quote.
Yeah.
Great.
Because they would fight to the very last minute. Once that clock goes at the end, that's it. They've lost.
There's another good quote, and it's by a doctor who worked with England, and his name slipped my mind from him now. And he calls himself Doctor because he's got a PhD and an MD. And he said in his MD, he didn't pass the exam first time, and somebody said, "Oh, you failed." And he said, I looked at him as he said, I haven't failed, I just didn't pass. And I thought, I'm having that. And then when you get back to say what makes up my philosophy is like that quote there, I'll take that quote away from what you've just told me. I think I'm having that. And all these experiences and nice quotes that you're thinking, there's something consistent here that's happening with this people who are highly successful. You know, they've got a true desire and a clear focus of that's what we're doing.
It's like you know, like your case. Yeah, at the end of the day, you didn't get into professional football. Well, you never broke through the ranks into the first team, but through failure, you've won. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Nelson Mandela, he failed, didn't he? He went to jail. He was banged up for 28 years, was it? 28 years banged up in jail. He became the president. So through failures, sometimes
would you say you get failed? Because Nelson Mandela's probably one of the most iconic figures of all time, isn't he? And you know what the man achieved, and you know, I don't know much about the man, but what I have seen as being, you know, takes you back aside is that when he was in power, you know, he had every right probably to turn the tables and go, well, now it's your turn, and he didn't. And the way he brought the two nations, I think there's the rugby film, isn't there?
Yeah, that's
Invictus, where he goes onto the pitch wearing the yellow jersey. That's the difference. Because can you imagine what a lift? I mean, these things, they give you goosebumps, don't they?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
These are key moments where you go, let's have this. And if you look back at success, you know, someone like Winston Churchill will fight them on the beaches and all. There's certain moments in life where there's a down moment and it's easy for it to cave in.
Yeah, so naturally you just want to collapse and say this is all
it's
over.
Just
like Liverpool, 3-0 down and suddenly let's get this and we'll go and we'll
absolutely.
We'll take
and then
it
somebody says something and it just switches it round. And I think the key word is belief. You know, I looked at some of your questions on the way there, and you know, one of them is about weaknesses and stuff, and like, and possibly one of mine is, you know, you overthink things and that, and it's just how do you come about it, and it sends me on the line of trying to get into more to me meditation and more this type of thing, and stumbling across things like law of attraction, and one of the key things there is about belief. And then it brings that right now to these successful people, is that they have this tenacity, this belief. And maybe for the things that Nelson Mandela achieved, he may have needed that 22 years solitude just to think, do you know, when I get in here,
well, that probably made the man.
This is what I'm going to do. Because he taught, there's so many lessons in what he did, from being humble, you know, from being gracious to, you know, forgiveness, you know, and what a liberating thing that is of anyone who's got any angst and anger inside them for different things. If you forgive,
let it all go, like getting a balloon,
you forgive the other person, it empowers you.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and so there's so many lessons of what the man did. But, you know, that stuck with me, was that key moment where he really united a country, which at the time could have easily turned into civil war and all kinds of mass craziness. He brought calm and order, and he, you know, they ended up kicking on and winning.
Yeah, it was some story, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But so moving with there, we ended up having won the league, and then from that journey, I ended up then going back to work with it was at a time there when my first youngest son was born. So travelling every day 2 hours to West Brom, you know, wasn't really, I had to balance family life as well. So I ended up going back to work for the English Football Association, and then from there I ended up going back out to Qatar. And then I went out from Qatar in 2016. I ended up going to Jordan and working with their national teams and all levels of national teams. And then from Jordan, I then went out to work to China. And then recently last year I come back, sadly I lost my mum through cancer, so there was a bit of personal reason the family would have come back to the city from them type of things. But we're telling them that down on the dumps, having been a failed professional footballer in my eyes, and what are you going to do now? That's when that, you know, what I'm going to do, and that's where has probably made me in some ways that when you do go through these times in life where you are in the abyss, what are you going to do? It's things come to you where you have that sort of, like I say, Scouse DNA, where, hang on a minute, you know what?
So when you
I'm
say,
going to get educated, I'm
really
going to go around this, and I'm going to be the best.
It's the resilience, isn't it?
Yeah, resilience is a great word. I'm going to try and be the best fitness trainer I can be, and this is what I need to be the best. This is what I need to go along that. And so, how many people on my course went into work in professional sport? Probably out of about 100 odd students, probably about 2 or 3. If that. And like you say, probably.
So there was you. Was it Eduardo? Was it?
Juan Rosario, probably the other one. Me and Juan. Nobody really else sticks out. Maybe someone's. I think maybe 1 or 2. Maybe stayed in academia and went on to do PhDs in certain roles, but the rest have just filtered out and gone into doing different types of roles and jobs. You know, and just done sports science as I like a bit of sport to do.
But when you look at football, to break into the Premier League, is I don't know, the percentage is 0.0% of making it, which is like, but even though more chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah, but even though all these players have got to believe it's them. They've got to believe it's them. It's going to be, otherwise, you know, how do you become a Trent?
So what do you think does make a trance?
I remember coming when I did go to Hubert College, and I'd done an assignment on
Trent's a Liverpool player, by the way.
On Talent ID.
He's a current Liverpool player.
On Talent ID.
Sorry.
on Talent ID. And it said for every superstar that makes it in tennis, there's 12 who are equally as talented but just didn't get the break.
Because you didn't get the break, did you?
No.
Because you were saying before that you were about that far away.
Yeah, we trained with the first
just didn't get that
Martin
break.
Clemens, Pat Levins, Tony Cotties, Neville Santos. You train with them day in and day out. And I think in football, there's got to be at least two or three times that who had certain people got a break and got it back in. It could have been different. You know, but that's life. And one thing about, you know, playing in professional sport and that type of thing, you do build up, to use your great word before, a resilience to lick your wounds and get up and go again. You know, and I've had a lot of, it's like my life's been like a snakes and ladders board, if you will. You know, I was 13 when I lost my dad. Come home and he'd had a heart attack and died. And so, you know, that's obviously puts you on your floor. You pick yourself up and get signed for Everton a year later and go on a 5-6 year journey with Everton. All the way through, you get let go again and you're down again and you pick yourself up and you go on and achieve a PhD, and then, you know, you end up working in the Middle East and all round and then bump, you know.
So would you say your strongest point is resilience? It sounds like that. You've got a real strong resilience. Possibly
resilience and that.
Determination.
Determination. I think you try to, you know, you play it down, you just accept them type of things as the normal. You know, you're always brought up, and to use a football term and that, like it was minimum requirement to put a shift in and have a go and that type of thing. And so when you're brought up with that, I look at today's, and you know, two boys playing in football and they've been in the academy system and that, I don't think there's that kind of emphasis on that sort of work ethic of it. You know, it's more on the technical rather than the other side of the game.
More on the skill, on the skill rather than the character.
I don't know whether, having worked at a little bit higher level with the youth teams at international level, where you're creating a bit more prima donnas and players who are pampered. So we were talking about before about the World Cup in England, and if you look at the World Cup, I know from working with England teams, then players after playing the season, they would have been pampered for over a month. And then you get to a side where Croatia, and I've worked with and against Croatian coaches who are a little bit more old school, they would have finished the season, give the lads a few days off, but they would have put them through a mini pre-season because I know the mentality of the country.
Within about 2 weeks?
Within a couple of weeks. They give them a couple of 10 days, 12 days, just chill out, go with your families and then boom, we're back on it.
Straight back in.
But they played 2 extra time games before they played England and looked fitter than England. When it comes to that crucial
what was you
game.
saying before, right? Your teaching practices, you were on the same lines what you're talking about now?
Yeah. Well, one of the things with that is that when you have too long a period off, okay, you have what's called a detraining effect. So that will happen globally with, like, you know, with your energy systems and that type of thing. You know, peripherally will happen, you know, your ability, like you're in a fitness game, Richard, you know, like you know, with like lactic acid and things like that, so you'll start getting lactic acid a little bit earlier, which you'll start using carbohydrates a bit earlier, which means you'll start fatiguing a little bit earlier, which affects concentration, which affects physical ability, which affects technique, which means you'll make more mistakes. So it kind of crescendos all the way down, and one of the things that you can do is that you can sustain your level of fitness by reducing the volume by 50 to 75%, but you keep it sharp and when it's on it. And that glues it right back into what Osvaldo used to come across with, and that was that quality aspect of the training. And there was another guy called Borna Misinovic who'd been to 5 World Cups. He was out in Qatar for a long time. And when he was working at the club Al Sadd, who I think they're going to be involved in the World Club Championships at where Liverpool go to in Qatar. And he was the manager way back then in 2003 and was speaking and stuff, and I'm trying to introduce to him about monitoring heart rates during there, and he said something to me that kind of stuck with me of the way he done it. He went, I smell it. And I went, what do you mean you smell it? I said, how long are we doing this session for? Well, he said, we're going to do it, but we'll do it as long as I think we need to do it. And there's an art to coaching, and what I mean by that, you can have all the sports science with it and saying, okay, and you can be a bit too robust. We're going to do 20 minutes today. I want you working in this heart rate zone, and we're going to do it no matter what happens. And there's that end of the extremity. There's the other end of the extremity where you just turn up and play from that side of things. And so one of the things what comes into that is that he said he smells it. So what he means by he smells it is that he has craft knowledge. So how long that's going to be is that he has an intuition about it and that type of thing. So I think somewhere in between, just like you were saying about the different philosophies from the different countries, is you can have the sports science, but that craft knowledge is equally important to marry the two in order for the best product to come about.
To kind of like join it all together.
Yeah, to gel it all together, to give yourself the best chance of winning and the best chance of being successful, and not being dogmatic and saying I've done a PhD, it's all got to be this right, or I've worked in the game for 30 years.
So it's been versatile. I've been to
5 World Cups, I know it all. You know what I mean? You've got to have a group of staff working around you, all with the same goal, but one guy at the top who goes, I'll have that. And he will make mistakes. He will go, I'll listen to you, Rich, I'm not having that for now. And then maybe if he's a good man, he'll come back to, you know what you said, Rich, about there, you were right about that. That won't happen again. And you evolve and grow as a staff together.
That's brilliant. So in finishing, what's your favourite quote? What really means something to you?
I don't know, probably I have my PhD on football. They say football's a matter of life and death. Let me assure you, it's far more important than
that's Shankly.
That's Shankly quote. That's the one he had as my PhD.
We'll finish on that one.
On that one.
All good. So I'm going to thank you for coming on, and this is the Philosophy of Winning.
It's been a pleasure, Rich.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me. Thank you.